lagate pathinin maute hong puya tuni tiang a program chi to theiji kin le pathin ke maswen ke pak thui gen hi hen lang tuni da kahin e resource person diu za how to know Miss Marcy Khaute assistant professor Delhi University hiding hi how to know hi resource person hi WBNUJS Kolkata LSM kha he one of the top 3 law colleges no university in India here azole ama hi Delhi University a pass out here azole dang cheng kha ama khan ne khan ki highlight in tin ma doi dan danin azole tu ni program hung sponsor pi ki hele Elizabeth Nasil Miss Elizabeth Nasil IT specialist in Metlife Global Operation Support Center Delhi India ama changin ki pak thu iwak gen hi hen lang tu hin 7 chat chu ginai lo male u resource person in kisung la lo ke na hun doi dan danin how to know ki lak le phan e
Okay, good evening. Kay wakki self introduction peg to gendi beg kahepuya. But like what you already said, the law of LLB, LLM kana when I graduated, at the outset I need to tell you all, pauhi AY pauhi ka theme beg mo. So it'll be a lot of mix the cake. Oh, it's a hung theme on academically, I'm a graduate in history and law, master's also in law, and now I'm almost on the verge of submitting my thesis, PhD le kabola, by pay customary law lampanga zi kaguamo, and to to pa hung tel thelo John son takle. He's been very helpful. Ke lamka khatum kahunguma. I think that was the longest I've stayed lamka ki umkhalo ha. I Zitibanga Zillai initiative na hung la ko ke na hung head pa kui ka kipaka. It's a huge it's very humbling and I'm very grateful for this opportunity. And till kat pohunge so before I start off. Although I'm a teacher, I don't lecture because I think that's very boring. Usually what I do is that there's a lot of interactions. We need to have a lot of interactions more. Seminar in partly, I think the whole idea is to have interactions across the spectrum, irrespective of age, irrespective of our background or the language barriers that we may have, or even educational backgrounds. I think what is really essential is interaction. So this session is not going to be one where you're just going to listen to me, but it's going to be one where we are going to interact. I want to know what is it that you want to know out of me. So that's going to be how we're going to go through, the entire 1 hour session that we have. Otherwise, it's going to be very boring if I tell you, this is what you study in law. But to begin with, more around maybe 10-15 minutes, I'll just take it like how I usually discuss in the class, theoretical discussion. I'll just try to give you all a general idea of what, how you can go about with studying law. What are the career options that are available if you have a degree in law? What are the alternate options that are available? And also I will just very swiftly touch upon mass communication and journalism. So I think on that note, I will just start off, and I have a few slides, very few slides that I've prepared, so it's not very boring for us who are here. So I think, so I'll just do that. More 20 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, not even 20 minutes. I'll just have a discussion, and then after that, I think it'll be nice if the participants can unmute themselves, and we'll have a chat. Organizers, I'm sorry, I should have asked you this before. Okay, so I'm going to take the entire liberty to conduct it the way I think it's feasible. So I'm going to do that. Now, whenever I think, okay, let's start with this. And I don't know why is the panel here. Keep down panel here, and I hope this is visible. So the topic that I've been asked to talk on is career in law, mass communication, and journalism. And so it really got me thinking, because I've been invited even in the past to discuss on a career in law. What are the options that one has, when you are equipped with the degree of law? Idile, when you asked me to talk on mass comm and journalism, it really kept me thinking as to what is the interconnection between law, mass communication, and journalism. And what I could, decipher is that the one common element is that it has a lot of, one common feature is that there's a lot of interaction. Law iti lele, mass communication or journalism iti part lele. One thing is that you need to interact with people. And I think what we are doing right now is exactly that. We are interacting over a virtual platform, but I'm able to connect to you. You're able to hear me. I'm able to see you. And I think that is what it's all about when you talk, when we talk about careers in law, mass communication, or journalism. And because when we talk about law, so I'm going to divide this slide into two parts. Okay, one is going to be the career in law options, and the other is going to be on mass communication and journalism. Now, so why should you want to have a career in law, right? Yeah, I'm not able to. Yeah, is there something that I think I can't go to the next slide for some reason? Yeah. Have I been disabled by any chance? Oh no, there's some problem there. Okay, sorry. So why would we want to choose to study law? So that's the first question that that's the first question that I think everybody needs to ask. If you want to study medicine, if you want to get into banking, if you want to study law, you want to study history, English, why is it so? Because a lot of things, our careers, a lot of us take up subjects by default. Maybe we plan to study, I'll tell you, I wanted to be a doctor at one point in my life, and that changed. Then I wanted to study literature. Again, that changed. Then I was like, no, I think I enjoy reading history because I enjoy reading books, and I enjoy reading, narratives and historical narratives and something that has an element of truth. So, I found my calling in history. I studied that. Then after that, I became very passionate about law because you know why? Because be it Nehru, be it Mahatma Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose, all of these nationalist freedom fighter, dekha, law degree and an kukha. So that was something that kind of, motivated me that, okay, to become someone in life, to become someone in life, I should have the degree in law because I think historical figures, it's something that, all wise men were equipped with. So if you want to study law, ask yourself, why do you want to study law? And when you are able to find that answer, then it's going to make it a lot easier because, it's always nice to study something that you're interested in. And, the interesting thing about law is that, if you study law, you will know a lot of you'll know the language of Latin because there are lots of Latin maxims that we use, and Latin is one of the oldest languages of human civilization. So that's number one. That's very interesting. The first sentence that you can see here, it's ignorantia juris non excuse, excuse act. Now, what does this mean? It just means that it is ignorance of law is no excuse. I'll give you an example. Parking, nadi mun umay tumo, lamkale parking nadi Delhi ale, specific parking, Bangalore, everywhere, because traffic is getting very condensed and it's heavy traffic, so you need to regulate the flow of traffic. So what you do is that, you mark out areas where you can park your vehicles. So nang inna gari ka wrong side of the road park illa. So if there's a traffic policeman who comes, chalanu kadde tumo, because you have done something which you're not supposed to do. You have broken the traffic rules. I leze kanang in traffic police park oma. Sorry, I did not know the rule. He's still going to cut you the chalan. Why? Because ignorance of law is no excuse in the end. Ignorance of law is no excuse. Even if you are ignorant, even if, ay lamka khabek lo kha, lamka kahung par lekin lamka rule khaba break le. I can't go to the court and say, I'm sorry, because it's a principle. You just because you're ignoring it doesn't mean that, you can escape. So what law does is a degree of law will give you the knowledge of law that's going to equip you. And when you're equipped with the knowledge of law, with the do's and don'ts, you become empowered because you know that Zehina bolle, this is what is going to follow. If you commit murder, you're going to be given a life imprisonment, or it could even be death penalty. If you commit theft, you're going to be given an imprisonment. Tula, and law also gives you that awareness. The little times that I come, there are lots of things that I see, and I'm like, oh, they're breaking the rule, they're breaking the law. One thing very, very common, and with due respect to all of us, Lamka is a place, my birthplace, MRP athili ki zuk bake away too, because I had that experience. Kadbe Coca-Cola bottle 2016 kahungzinin kanu in chodi in so le ka chocolate MRP 75 rupees ki zikintin adukan ngagnu in ka 100 rupees hum charge. So I kept waiting. Mo assume ne nung pedin ka, I kept waiting, but that she never returned me the money. I like she said no, this sells for 100 rupees. So can you know, but MRP, it's 100 MRP 75 rupees ka tileman. It's this is how it is sold. I like, how much do I find? And you know what she told me? She said, either you take it or you leave it. You can go to the next shop. But for a person who has a degree of law, not that others won't know, there is a law that we study. There is a paper that we study, which is called the Consumer Protection Act. That's one. The other paper that we study is Sales of Goods Act. That means we study about MRPs. We understand that, I am a consumer and I have the right to purchase a product. And that product should not be more than the maximum retail price. It's maximum retail price. It is not minimum retail price. So, small things like this, the nuances of everyday lives, you become aware if you study the law, because law is, it's nothing too big. It's not rocket science. Law, like I always tell my students, it's a mixture of common sense and nonsense. When you know how to make a good mixture of this, you're good to go. You're good to face the world. Because, law will make you have a very, liberal attitude, because principle law concentrate to. We deal with every case on the basis of facts and circumstance, because there is no one size that fits all. I let Tuni can Google if I'm committing theft. Why? Because of poverty? Is that the reason? Or is it because I'm a habitual offender? So even for the same crime, we look at everything on the basis of facts and circumstance. So, and that is very applicable in our lives also, because even as a Christian, we are told not to judge people. So when you are able to let people be the way they are, that is when you cease, that is when you stop to judge. And law teaches, and I feel that personally, I feel that my knowledge in law has really taught me to be accommodating. It has really taught me to just let things be, because there's no one size that fits all, because every garment needs to be cut according to the size, according to your size, according to the size of the person who's going to wear that, and that is why I say that a degree of law equips me. And if I'm equipped with that, I am empowered, because I evolve. So, at least if there were 50 law graduates, I'm sure there'll be a lot of change, in terms of our rights to consumer, in terms of our right to information, in terms of our right to education. Office part when the office staffs, they get the signature done, or whatever paper they get it done, we feel so happy, as if they're doing us some favor. I'm sorry, they're not doing you any favor, they're just doing their duty. So the essential element is that it teaches you the understanding of right. It teaches you the understanding of duty. Because right, it's not absolute. So to every right, there's a correlative duty. So a person in law, a person with a law degree, we always know that, okay, if I say that I have the right to clean environment, I also have a duty to maintain cleanliness in and around me. So I hope you're just able to relate. I'm just trying to relate it to you through the application in common day, lives that we all live, right? And so law helps us to understand how society evolves, how society thrives, because, there are more than 30,000 laws in India, which means that, we are minorities. There are some people who are more influential than us. There are some people who are more advanced than us in terms of knowledge, in terms of economic wealth, or in terms of, their landed property, or for There are various reasons, right? So if you have a degree of law, you know that, you have to have law to address issues accordingly, right? So when you have a degree of law, it gives you life skills. It helps you to understand life, and it makes you question a lot of things. And that's very, very important. We need to question a lot of things. We need to start looking around. We need to have the curiosity. And if you have a degree in law, for example, if I can tell you that we have Prevention of Atrocities Act, AST ki hai, wo KLST hi ke chung ibona ki ST ki. But how many of us know that we have a central legislation more, which talks about, which prevents people from committing atrocities on us? 1989 Act ki nahi tha, to Prevention of Atrocities against ST and SCs. So if you don't study law, maybe if you're a student of political science, maybe you may just know that, okay, this is what is there. The law is simpart that these are the laws that are there for us, and so it kind of makes you more empowered. It gives you more courage to stand up, because automatically you know where to go. Automatically you know what is an FIR. So, talking of an FIR, for instance, more first information report, me tampi and more police he because we feel that for whatever reasons, XYZ reasons, but the police are there to help us. And if the police doesn't want to help you, what do? You have a degree in law, it's going to tell you what you can do. Complaint complaint mean, if somebody commits theft, I go to the police station. I police station police what will I do? I don't. Common man to but if you have a degree in law, what you're going to do is that you're going to ask the SHO more that the complaint is how record a copy because FIR copy it's a matter of right. You can take it, you have to take it, you must take it from the police station, because it's a matter of right. Police in Nanka FIR copy they are failing in their duty. So, small things like this, but very, very essential things, you get to know when you have a degree in law, because you study law. You study how society evolves. You study how society functions. And for that, you just need a little bit of common sense, a little bit of legal knowledge, mix it up, and there you're good to go. That's how I look at my study and my field of academics. And then the next thing is, so when to start? So the question is, when should you start preparing for law? So before I go into that, I'll just talk about the career options. So law is the part, there are multiple of career options, because if you are a doctor, you can't go for litigation. To like me kipil time more medical negligence cases who's going to defend you? Law, it's when you get into the courtroom, right? That's when you become a litigating advocate. So all persons who have a degree in law are called lawyers, but those persons who go and advocate in the courtroom, who are registered with the Bar Council, they can go to the courts and they can litigate. So those are called litigating advocates, okay, litigating advocates, and it's called litigation. And I can also go to the court and argue. Central government I cannot stand more against the central government or any state government. Private party, so I can still stand and plead. I'll just have to take permission from the registrar of my university. I can go to the court and I can, defend my case, or I can be the prosecution. Okay. So the next thing is, the other option is that you can be in, corporate offices with your AC, with your desk job. It could be a desk job also, corporate sector. For example, every corporate company, every big company will always have a legal wing, taken on. I also did my internship with Airtel when I was a student. They have a whole bunch of lawyers there, because corporate letter draft the part like lawyers think draft. So because we know that if this, because everything that you draft in a contract, that is binding on us. So it's always the advocates who will be drafting these letters. And contract that also, there's a paper that we study on the law of contract. So, we study almost everything. We study about medical laws, we study about environmental laws, we study about social economic laws, we study about gender laws, customary laws, name it, and it's there. You know, the branch of law is so wide that everything, you know, if we, you know, I have even taught a paper on rights of animals. So, you know, it's like it touches on every aspect of your life, you know, so it's a very wide horizon, you know, horizon. And then, so if you're not interested in litigation, you're not interested in corporate, you can go for academics just the way I've gone. But for that, you need to pursue your master's degree. And then in today's time, you need to have a PhD as well. So litigating advocate, ay lole corporate, it's okay to have an LLB degree. LLM bangay, no more. But generally, people go for the LLM level because we are talking about an age of specialization. Zizika to, you know, LLB is enough, but you know, the sky is the limit. So that's why people do a lot of diploma, a lot of these and that, and many other factors, right? And if I can just share an example with you, Calcutta Kumlaya Kali, there was a PG diploma course on medical laws. Doctor te a kesa nga wo kum tampe upatele anazil sak, because they were doctors, but they come to, you know, to have a knowledge of law. Asansu, you know, tu like a kovel ki think time, medical negligence cases hum tam taluta. So even the doctors need to know how to equip themselves. You know, the importance of consent, partly the importance of documents. A advocate ho, tomorrow lawyer ho ka, till cut we always insist is paperwork. Because paper aki zik thakle, as ki zik part kale mo, till he dete to they can a customary rights and traditions they kizik kalaway to ipule ipite in kampawa hungen part leka, ken kana head ka, maybe my grandmother is telling me 10 things. By the time I relate to my children, maybe I'll forget 2 things because human memory is that it's limited also. It's there on record. More. 10 generations also can always go and look at it. And then we call it archives. So what, you know, law degree is going to do you is it's going to press you on the importance of documentation. You know, to maintain documents. And so that becomes very, in today's time, it's very essential to like to email kineta, WhatsApp kineta, more virtual kovel kiluta. So it's very easy to have everything, you know, in written. So that is one very important thing that, you know, a degree of law has taught me. All right, then yeah, coming back to the career option. So you're interested in academics, well and good. You could be a researcher also. Okay, and then you can even be an author, you know, or you can be a jurist, an expert in law, you know. And the tampi way, come on, if we look at it, the judgments that the Supreme Court lawyers or the High Court, you know, whenever they come in, they always quote the writings of jurists or the eminent authors, you know. And very interestingly, talking about authors, you know, please bear with me. The reason why I'm going to deviate at times is just to give you a clearer idea of what I'm trying to say. You know, it comes under intellectual property laws. Okay, I'm a student of law, so I know can lekabu katka zikle to copyright kiti ka 60 years can nedicate to ke lekabu ka, you know, whenever it sells, I'm going to get some royalty amount. I thought ke lekabu ka tilzi, come on, ke permission umlawin mean taken on one of you in a reproduce the ke permission umlawin, I will, you know, I will sue you for infringement of copyright. You know, because 60 years ka, I enjoy copyright for 60 years. That means for 60 years, my work is legally protected. Kuman ka permission umlawa mo, ke til ziksa ka reproduce thelo. And ay le nangin ke koma permission na hunglakle, will negotiate. Okay, zele kabuhi nangin, ke le kabu ziksa nangin movie in the ballroom le. What is the money that you're going to give me? You know, that comes under intellectual property, right? So even if you're an author, it's very important for you to know what are your rights. So if I'm a dancer, if I'm a singer, there's something called performers' rights, you know. So that is the interesting thing about law. Everything you talk about, you'll always see an element of law. All right. So, well, I'm endorsing my subject, but I can't help it. I need to endorse it. Yeah, then you can always go for the civil services or judiciary. Judiciary too, if you sit for the exam, magistrate, more first class judicial officer that they were right after LLB. Civil service actually, like how law has become one of the most common optional subject. Because, you know, you have a law na theme, a case na theme, it's very interesting. So law student degree these days they're picking up, you know, as an optional paper. So it's become one of the most sought after papers of late. And you can also join the armed forces. Army lay join because right after graduation, if you haven't attained the age of 27, there is an exam that the armed forces conduct. You can sit for that, clear the exam, and then you can go up to the rank of lieutenant, if I'm not mistaken. So they kind of enjoy it more, but they will be working with the armed forces. So for them, it's the Army Tribunal or the Air Force Tribunal. The career options are available, that even for someone who's interested in the uniform job, you don't necessarily have to go through the NDA, but you can also have a degree in law, and you can also join the armed forces. And of course, politics. Now, if you look at Nehru, or Tulai Kovela, so even Kiran Rijiju, a popular amale akma college pass out na but kele pass out ke, so CLC. And then you talk about Meenakshi Lekhi, she's also a lawyer. You talk about Mamta Banerjee, she also has a degree in law. Kapil Sigbal is a senior advocate. Hari Salve is also, Hari Salve is not really in politics, but Ram Jethmalani was in politics at one. He was the law minister at one point in time. So, it's so if you look at the politicians across the world, be it Barack Obama, for instance, he also has a degree of law from Harvard University. So does his wife. So, you will see that even Abraham Lincoln. So you will see that, these prominent world leaders also, they have a degree in law. All right. And when you talk about the monetary aspect, because that's also very important, career because when you start working, salary is also important, because you need to survive, right? Litigation is something that will not just pay you off handsomely. More immediately, consistency in it's within 3 years you can establish yourself. In 3 years you'll establish yourself. And today, one of the highest paid advocates, the senior advocate, Hari Salve Katika, he gets about, I think, 14 lakhs per standing. 14 lakhs into 5 times seasoning. So that means that all that matters is your skill, your craft. How good are you at your craft? Because it's all about craftsmanship, in today's time. And you really need to honk on your skills. So if you're good at what you do, money will definitely follow, right? And corporate sector, 5-year law school, there is placement, it's more 4th year up. So if you get through the placement, most of my ex-students, they start their career with 1.2, 1.5 lakhs. But it's a bit tiring. Corporate sector, things should change, and because you get to learn a lot. But one thing you need to understand is that in 1.5 salary every month, you have to give an output worth 3 lakhs. It's simple. Corporate is simple, because I've worked in corporate for 6-8 months, right? It's simple. So you need to give in at least 12 hours in a day minimum, right? So if you are being paid handsomely, your output needs to be double of what people are paying you. You need to be able to sell your product well, and your product is your work. It really needs to be good, because there is no security to your job. If they don't like your job, there are lots of players in the market, you'll be thrown out. So when you talk about corporate sector, money is good. There's a lot of money there, but your skills is what is going to make you sustain and survive. You talk about academics and you talk about research. Like academics, you can get into private colleges, you can get into universities or government aided colleges also. So the pay is accordingly fixed. So it's a government pay scale that we draw. Not too bad, but good enough to survive. And you're an author or you're a jurist, like I said, so the sky is the limit. And you get into judicial or civil services, again the government have a fixed pay scale, so you will be paid accordingly. Be the armed forces. If you're a politician, I think it's better not to talk about money when we talk about politicians, right? Because let's leave that to them. And then I think there's something I've done it wrong. Yeah, I think I'll come. So when do we start studying law? The question is, because you all are students here, so you might want to know, when is the best time to start studying law? What is the subject that one needs to take to study law? The nice thing about law is that, you know, you can be from any branch. Medical to engineering are in science. Or to study commerce, you need to, study an MBA, you need to have mathematics. But if you study law, it's okay to be from arts, to be from science, or to be from commerce. It's open to all people alike. So there are two ways of studying law. One is after class 12, which is called the BA, BSc, LLB, either BA, BSc, LLB. More. It's 5 years. So class 12, so partly in Nalutule. So after 5 years, the law singly, and you will be taught papers like English compulsory paper, Hindi, sociology compulsory is Zildi, political science, economics, and history. The paper pangahi compulsory plus the law papers. But if you study LLB after graduation, then you will study only pure law. Sociology so after class 12 na bolule 5 years course after graduation na bolule 3 years course and so like I said, you can be of any stream, graduation, LLB, after graduation, post graduation, PhD nungale mean law hung sim sit tunle diwa ka student ka tampi ke sanga upade or Timothy Khaute chumo ana gunde. They're quite liberals also. Mo after retirement le tampi in law hung sim situation because there is no age limit to practice law. If you want to get into corporate sector, if you want to get into litigation, there is no age limit. Minimum age, maximum age the law. But government job is all part like age limit se come on. Corporate law, well litigation so law to practice law also you don't have any age gap. So what happens is what the trend that I'm seeing now also is that bureaucrats, they are the ones who have degree in law. After retirement, more with their 35 years of experience and the degree of law, corporate sector then ka engage way too. So my father's friend also, she happens to have a degree in law, and after retirement, now she's attached with one of the tribunals, and she's getting paid, double of what she used to earn when she was in the government job, because now she has that many years of experience and the tag of being an ex, bureaucrat, plus the knowledge in law more. So the good thing about law is that there's no age limit. It's okay. There is no age limit at all. So that's a nice thing about law. And the older you get, the better. It's just like, the older the wine, the tastier it is. In that same way, the older you are in the field, the better you're going to be when you are, putting, the better you get in your skills. All right. So when to start, you can start even after class 12, or you can start after graduation. That's absolutely okay. They can some of us may say, oh, MBBS ka, instead of doing BSc na anabol sang in MBBS din coaching kumtumanakin lale kiti seke mo mi tampin kiti khadi chu, but law ka chu kisi law. Even if you go ahead with your graduation, after graduation you can still study 3 years LLB. Now these two pictures you see here, the first picture on the top is where I'm teaching right now. This is Delhi University Law Faculty. The one below is in Calcutta. This is the West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences. Calcutta hi kumnga course hintin, DU hi kumtum course. So it's open to everyone at any point in your life. That's absolutely okay. All right. Then okay, this is a career option. So now we will come to did I miss out anything? Okay, I don't think I missed out anything. Yeah. So now we will just quickly come to this mass common, journalism, and maybe then after that we can have the interactive session. I think we still have some time. What do we understand by mass communication and journalism? As a person in academics, I think it's very important that if you want to study history, you should first of all ask yourself, what do you understand by history? Or what do you understand by law? Or what is mass communication and journalism? Till he tom more research ball so that you make a correct decision. Because if you study law, you study mass comm, you study MBBS, invest the investment that you're going to make is not just money, but the years also. And it's not just in months or weeks, it's in years. So you enter MBBS, when you were 18, 19, you come out as an adult. You study mass communication, you will study maybe after class 12. When you were 16, 17, you enrolled for the course. You're going to come out as an adult. So the number of years we invest to study, that's a lot. Zizikato, it's very important to do a bit of research in whatever field of study you want to pursue. So what is mass communication and journalism? Just a very common understanding is that, when you talk about mass communication, it's the study of media, be it electronic media, be it, airwaves media, radio, or be it any other form, newspapers, print media, more mass communication. What is it? It's about understanding how humans interact with one another and the technologies that are involved in it. Because when we talk about, if there is a certain news, Bangati newspaper in Emo, because we want to communicate it to the masses. So when we're talking about mass communication, we're talking about a channel of interaction. We're talking about how we pass on the knowledge about a certain event or a certain happening. So the reason why I have this little two Venn diagram, I tried to make it a Venn diagram, turned out to be a little, not very much of a Venn diagram, but mass com journalism is a part of mass communication, because mass communication is part, so it's like how the masses interact, how you interact with the masses. And journalism is about more inclined towards reporting news, more inclined towards reporting certain happenings, more. Tuni volcano eruption umtale Japana. Journalism is that. Journalism is going to bring you the news that it happened, something happened, or if there's election that's going on, the name of the candidates are going to be brought to you by whom? Through journalism. Tu like smartphone ki data citizen journalism because you can be a reporter, you can be a citizen journalist also. You can just have a video clip and you can sell the video clip even to a newspaper, even to a to a media house, news house, let's say whatever Times Now or Aaj Tak or all of those channels. No, if you have any information through your smartphone also, you can sell it to them, because it's an age of information. And mass communication and journalism is very relevant for our times, for the simple fact that it's an age of communication, of fast communication. You have your smartphone, tap it, there you have it all. You want something, you Google it, just punch in some keys, you have the answer. All of you are sitting, most of you are sitting in Lamka. I'm sitting in one corner in Delhi. I'm able to interact with you. This is also one part and parcel of mass communication. And I want to connect this to law, because when you study law, most of the people who have a degree in mass com always comes and take a degree in law also. You know why? Because there are certain ethics, there are certain boundaries that you can't, cross. Because, when you talk about mass communication and journalism also, you are taken and you're a journalist. Report report that understanding you will be able to grasp it more well if you have an understanding of law. Because what does the law teach you? It teaches you that you have a right. Nang property enjoy the right, right? But your right is not absolute. Your right stops the moment your neighbor's property starts. Zizi katun get news item mo. A victim minka to public, because I need to protect her privacy, because today there is something called right to privacy. I don't want to be seen. If I don't want to be seen, why? Because I have every right not to be seen. I have every right to be forgotten. I have every authority not to come and talk to you all. It's a choice that I can make. Zizikatsu, what are the boundaries that we need to maintain, the ethical boundaries that we need to maintain? Journalism will teach you that, mass communication will teach you that, and that is regulated by law. All right, so that is how closely it is interconnected. Now, coming back to mass communication, also we need to understand, like what I'm telling you is, mass com is like the huge universe, where you're talking about public relations, where we're talking about advertisements, where we're talking about televisions, internet news, and the films. Journalism is part news. This is journalism is about this, but mass com is about everything else. It even includes news, but journalism doesn't include filmmaking. Journalism doesn't include about advertising, but mass com it's like journalism is a branch where you can specialize. Is that branch where you can specialize. And when you talk about mass communication also, what is so important is, you are giving form, shape to something that's very abstract. If I write a story, mo kalung thima story khat umle, ken nang ko mabangti ka hunggian di. Come power hunggian len, you will imagine it the way you want to imagine it, right? But ken mas ko ma umle, ken ka story kalung thima ka ken movie ka hungbol parle. So when you view it, what happens is that I'm communicating to you the story that I had in my head. So you're giving shape to something that is abstract. And it could be an idea, it could be a story, it could be a song, it could be an image, it could be anything. So something that's abstract, you're giving it shape, and that is through the channel of mass communication. All right. And it's very important, it's very interesting. Mass community part more documentary movies, cultural studies, it's a part of it. Public relations, advertisement, movie at part if you look at the celebrities also, one of the main source of their income is advertisements. Company Lin PP, Karina Kapoor, TM, Federer, TM, you'll see all of them endorsing brands. So mass communication is going to make you have that knowledge and that skill to get into advertising, for instance. So when we talk about mass communication, it's like the universe, or let's say it's the genus, and journalism is just a species of mass communication more. So journalism is more about news reporting, it's more about relating an incident, real life incident that has happened. And journalism could also be of different kinds. It could be media journalism, it could be print journalism, newspaper, or it could be through the radio also. That's absolutely valid. All right, so that's with mass communication and journalism. So let's see what are the career options that we have. Mass communication is easily. So there are lots of options that we have. Either you can get into the internet, to like content maker, ETM, influencer, no, something. So there are different YouTube, they can get video, channel subscriber tamle. So there's some kind of an income that I can earn more. So atamzo tulai mass com degree ne channel so they create vlog, they write blogs, and a lot of things. So there are lots of options because we are heading into the virtual internet world. Then you can get into television, maybe as prime time serial actor, actress, or even maybe as a host in some kind of a program that's there. Or you could even get into news reporting. You can have a channel and be the next Arnab Goswami. That's absolutely okay. You can get into radio, airwaves, more Akashvani, Tika Nidanga. So today you have Radio Mirchi, you have many radio wavelengths today that are available. Or you could get into magazines, like what magazines do you read? I don't really read a lot of magazines, I prefer books. So but anyways, you can get into Femina magazines. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Or you can get into magazines like even competition success also, for that matter. Magazine like a glamorous say way to more. It could be even educational magazines also. That's absolutely okay. Or atamzo mass communication zil take more, they're authors also. They do have a degree. Or mass community it can even be photography also. Like I have a friend who's completed his got his degree from Jamia, and which is one of the most reputed places to get your degree in mass comm. Today he's a photographer, and he's traveling around the world. So because a picture speaks 1,000 words, so when you do mass comm, there are different branches. So it's like I said, the sky is the limit. There is no one profession that's the best, because it's such a vibrant world. And Zillai, we need to start exploring, because sometimes the profession calls you, sometimes you choose the profession. Life is like that. So it's always good to explore, and try to look into those areas where your choices are not limited when it comes to career option. They can not that I want to criticize medical or anything. For instance, let's just take medical. No, at Tansu Manipur, what I've seen is that either you're preparing for medical or you're preparing for engineering. Okay, so if you are a medical doctor, what are your career options? Either you're a doctor, right? And after that, if you want to get into media and all, nothing will stop you if you have the skills. Some of us are born with the skills. But if you want to take in and practice law, then after medicine, you still have to come and take a degree of law. But I, as a lawyer, obviously I can't go and start opening a clinic, so there are boundaries of every profession. But there are, even in social sciences or humanities, there are some courses which may offer you a little bit more options than the others. So I think as very young people, try to explore those options, so that later on you may not run out of choice. So that's basically what I want to say. So when we talk about mass communication more, what are those, which colleges, where can we study? We can, the first, these are, I've just listed few of the institutes that came to my mind this afternoon. Lady Shri Ram College in Delhi University, more Asian College of Journalism, which is in Chennai, Indian Institute of Mass Communication, Delhi. It's here very nearby. Xavier's Institute of Communication in Mumbai, St. Xavier's, and Indian Institute of Journalism and New Media, Bangalore, Madras Christian College, MCC, SIMC Pune, Manorama School of Communication, Koyattam in Kerala, FTII Pune, and St. Xavier School in Mumbai. And it's through entrance exam. All of this professional course, it's all through entrance exam. And they may have certain reservations, STSC, certain cutoff. Professional course, it's always good to have, like I said, do a bit of research, see what is the criteria that they're asking for. Maybe for mass communication, they may ask, you may interview so you may get a brownie point if you are into some kind of photography in the past, or you've made some kind of a short movie, or even if you are a PR, in some kind of a public relation or even management more. So just see. So the bottom line is, don't just bank on what I tell you or what the others tell you. You need to explore your options to be able to understand where is your calling. If you can identify yourself as standing in the courtroom and litigating, that means maybe advocacy is your calling. Or if you stand and you feel that you can take good photographs and your photograph can speak to the world, it appeals to the world, perhaps then mass communication is your calling more. Or if you like to report news, you are anyways curious, you love to read the newspapers and you can relate the news, you can even be a news reader too, like news reader iti padle Doordarshan kyo katsapanglai wa ka etsa kutsu chapanglai bakiti maile Doordarshan iseke mo Doordarshan and DD Metro, because my mother was very strict, so we hardly had cable TV. Zel tilaya mo min ka news ka sim to po screen eno sim zingo mo tu like hovela to hitalo to news reader tekale journalist who is because the presentation is very important. And it's the today's time we are talking about knowledge more news more what if the news typist in kathil mistaken a bol khale and you just keep reading it. It can't be that way, because now the anchor they conduct interviews, they are questioning politicians, they're questioning bureaucrats, they're questioning laymen, they're questioning accused persons or persons, or the victim also. So you may have to play multiple roles. We're not just talking about just a degree, we're talking about knowledge. And degree, knowledge, they're two very, very different things, right? Degree is important, it's going to give you the knowledge, but don't just bank on the degree to give you the knowledge. Knowledge is awareness. You need to look around, you need to be able to appreciate things around you, you need to be able to question, you need to be able to make develop critical thinking. Zai bangati is a thing umbo I let tun election kinede mo ikama election law ti hungum ki te juke on kazilo more a representation of people's act 1951. The representation of people like part kale aile bangati en religion more on the basis of religion bangati en vote ki hol phallo bangati vote hol ki phallo mo itile law in phallo wi zaka representation of people's act section 123 hung ki zik khape when you talk about mass comm journalism and law, as a career option, it's all about curiosity. It's all about the eagerness to learn. It's all about being able to appreciate what is here, what was there, and what is to come. All right. So I think on that note, I will wind up my presentation. And I think I hope I was able to drive through some ideas. And I don't know how effectively was I able to do that. And I think, yeah, so now we can, we have another 10 minutes perhaps. I can take questions or we can interact. And I can stop sharing also.
Cái bà cũng không mày tuy question này thế khăn tại đấy cái đợt hình thế nó đồng ngâm lâu để lép chạm là về là khăn đầu từ lần tại gì
Đợt ngâm ngay chứ bằng cái đợt ngâm ngay, đợt ngâm lâu. Yeah. Anyone?
Miss.
Yes. Call me Mercy, it's okay.
LLB simna di khamo simna di khamo graduate job part le subject zila khel di tio ve lo me
Umlo. Imo
bang subject la le le sil the ko
graduate in anything, you know, like tekina nang mas ko maka degree, graduation degree mas ko mana nei le mo law sim thi. So even if you are an MBBS degree holder, you can come and study law. Even if you're an engineering graduate, you can study law. Even if you're commerce, history graduate, political science, English, Hindi, anything, it's absolutely okay. As long as you have a degree, after graduation, you can study law. Digital marketing or social marketing, you know, I am not strictly in this medium of, you know, digital and marketing. So I don't think I am the first person to answer this. Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, because I don't just want to give you an answer for the heck of it. I can do a bit of research and maybe get back to you. But honestly, because the marketing is not my field, so I'm sorry, I really can't give you a convincing answer on that. So I'll have to give that a pass. Yeah, anything else? Anyone else?
đọc thấy lại tới cái
There's another whole journalism line of bang tidanin pan alak din. Can you can you please elaborate that this question?
Journalism line bằng thì đàn in phần lạc thì journalism mà hiếm mà bằng thì align hi bằng gola chỉ là cái bằng subject là cái journalism hi thế mi lâu là bằng line làm rồi journalism hi thế điểm thì đàn đấy vật kiện thì mấy tiền là
You know, journalism is, I think it also depends, you know, if it's journalism, I think it's a branch of mass communication. So for that, usually people who have the skills of writing skills. So usually people who are in what I've seen is people who are in political science and literature. I feel they get into journalism. At least my friend circle, those who are in journalism, they're usually there. And then I think it also depends on whether you do a diploma course or whether you get a degree. After class 12, you can get into it. Diploma, it's usually you know, after graduation. So that also depends on what kind of course you want to do, and you can explore. I think IGNO also has a course on journalism. Zizika, like I said, you know, the best is just identify whether you want to take journalism as a profession or you want to have the degree or the diploma for the sake of knowledge. And then, you know, just Google them, and, you know, accordingly, you will be able to find a size that is going to fit you. I hope you get what I'm saying, because
journalism tu hung zil tao chu hung zil chau le bahai government lampang hi lampang ka ti a perspective ka va gen hi mo tu news tu for example NDTV and the Times Now du da ho ve kha chu ama ho kha chu private wa min le min thang oi chu hele tun te hinan zi hung zil zo hi le government is the whole when recruitment a ball sec
yeah, they do see they cannot do Doordarshan in labor sekintin. Yeah, because Prasar Bharati, you know, they're the ones who are the and even for this PIB, you know, you have the press press wing of the government also. They do have, yes, UMSEC government. But, you know, that's a thing I have, you know, I understand that, you know, government means security. Journalism and all of this, you know, is these are well-paying jobs if you know, and let me put it this way, you know, so if you're a government employee, they can get a government employee. There are lots of limitations also, do's and don'ts. For example, if I want to travel abroad, or let's say in I have to apply for an outstation leave. But if I'm a advocate in more key practice, I mean, had I continued as an advocate, I don't need anyone's permission. And at the same time, I'll be earning 10 times of what I'm earning now, to be very honest. So what I want to tell Zillai, professional course, let's be very confident that I will survive even if I'm a freelancer, that I will survive even if it's a corporate job. Because government job, come on, very limited. And not everybody makes it in the government job. And what happens then is that we get disappointed. So the way we look at success also needs to change, because it's not always about government jobs anymore. There are times, honestly speaking, let me tell you, and I'll be honest, Amy came, you know, family that there are times when I really used to just think to myself, what if I was still in practice? You know, because sometimes it's very inhibiting also. Freelancer, more professional course, let's not go back to the same point, you know, where we're always pressing for, you know, government job. Because government jobs are time bound. Government jobs don't come out every time you are prepared. Maybe if you are, you know, how many years go by, you know, how many years are we supposed to invest preparing for one exam? And then, you know, after all your friends are settled, you suddenly realize, oh, the number of years I wasted is this. So it's good to try for government job, well and good, no problem. But be equipped and be confident that, you know, no matter what, you're going to survive. That's my message.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Bakat mo to contemporary successful journalists them, for example, chapang te theding atsumo Arnab Goswami tiam alole Rajdip Sardesai tiam ama hogol velhi adangte le chumben tiu omui tampi omui hilele to news vera avak het thei deu azik tu je jalampang hi chapang hi khat expose lo ji ka news vela hi mo jalampang hi khatle ni wak gen theina la le chen ki pa ko minai
amau te hitmo Raj Desai ti veli tu, you know, if you look at it, okay, let me put it this way. Ke hitun class 12 ba ki ti hileng mo. I think I'll make use of the internet, because YouTube will, Instagram will, WhatsApp will kinevek tai tulai. But how many of us actually use that to find out the options that we have? Who are the people, you know? They can, you know, let me put it this: Arundhati Roy and Pranay Roy, you know, at times India demo in. Yeah. So, you know, they come from their cousins. Now you talk about Arnab Goswami. He's had a degree from LSE, London School of Economics. You talk about Sardesai, Himo. It's not accidental. That's what I mean to say, you know. So they go to the best institute, they get the best knowledge, the best young age apat kamo college apat kana mauka timaiti nga namli na easy ko himaiti. They know they work on their skills from a very early age. For example, Shashi Tharoor. Now he's a member of the parliament. But before that, he was with the UN. He was in St. Stephen's, and at the age of 26, he was already with the UN, right? So what I feel is, that let's make use of the phone that we have on our palm top, apart from watching TikTok and all of that nonsense. I mean, not nonsense, but let's make use of it to explore the options, because can lay Sandeep, Sandeep Sardesai, Rajdeep Sardesai, story hungendile. It's all from the internet that I'll anyways read, because I don't know him in person. So, in all honesty, I really wouldn't be able to tell you that, okay, this is, but it's a good profession. That's what I can say, because they bring news to us in our, in our house, and we look at the world the way they present facts to us. So it's very essential, that news reporting these days are also very, very heavily scrutinized, and they enjoy certain privileges also. Privilegedly enjoy a way too. They have access to areas which a layman like you and I wouldn't have access to. But everything comes for a price. There's so many persons who have been shot dead because they reported on a certain news also. More pros and cons to umpeketu. So yeah, I feel that,
participant participant lawyer successful they have to Subramaniam holoi khole hin tinun zo
Yeah,
khole
Gopal Subramanian. Yeah, senior
Azwa
advocate.
Kapil Sibal holoi khole amau hi noted lawyer ahiu ti khale hin tin chun question hiung te kap le chun phana how to know bang khat sa ta khan mo pani pathum bel hong lu ta
Can I? Who thought human rights he social evil le bun ahi the be them. No, it's a partner to like trucks ethics le bang police. You know, thank you for this question. And so whenever we talk about human rights, you know, there are society, there's always interest in conflict. There's no one person who's going to take the cake and walk away, because it's not so simple. Human rights, it's a very subjective subject, I feel. Asansu, you know, they cannot do the example that you gave to like drugs addicts, they bang police, they says oten asoy part ule human rights in pallo titia hek. Oh yeah, you know, because I they cannot, you know, every, okay, let me put it this way. Oh, victims iti part lemo case iti part, two parties are always there. Okay, so there's a victim, let's say in a crime, and there's an accused person. Law CRPC well IPC it's not always about the right of the victim. It's also about the right of the accused person who is elected. Because at the end of the day, we are all humans. We are all born with certain rights, you know. But human rights, partly, I feel personally, if you're asking my opinion, I feel it kinds of, you know, creates a lot of confusion, because lang kata victim ka justice speak lengai. You know, on the other side, accused person, a human rights kali intact iko ingai. Is there conflicting interests ka? How do we harmonize it? You know, this is custodial torture more, because there are lots of innocent people. Because, you know, we go on, because when you talk about human rights, when you talk about drugs cases and all, drug addicts and all of this, what happens is, you know, these are those questions. You know, when you talk about drug addiction, also drugs are actually meant to kind of, you know, for medicinal purpose, but when you abuse it, that's when you become an addict, right? But when you look at NDPS and all, it's a crime. So Zazikatsu, if taken on, when a drug addict is being, you know, taken away and is tortured, human rights will not allow, because human rights, what does the, you know, Charter of Human Rights say? Treat everybody equally, treat everybody with dignity, not equally maybe, but treat everybody with dignity. So bang tina hemitile. I should be treated with dignity. You can't just strip me naked and make me parade in the field. That's not allowed. So whenever we talk about human rights, you know, it's like, it's very, very subjective, and there is no concrete answer. And sometimes I'm afraid if we take it on the wrong side, it could lead to, you know, more of confusion rather than clearing. Because there was a point in time, you know, when there was a lot of abuse of powers by the state authorities, more high-handedness of police or any person in authority. So in order to counter that, you know, and the atrocities that you know, the world suffered with the Second World War and all of that, that's when we say that even if a person is a prisoner of war, we should treat him with dignity. So human rights, the way I like to look at it, is about and should be about treating a person with dignity, but not about, you know, going and pressing and countering it just for the heck of it. So it is required. Human rights, there'll be so much of arson, there'll be so much of mishandling of, you know, criminals or even addicts for that instance. So it really depends on which side of the coin you want to choose, whether you want to look at it like a social evil, because yes, sometimes, you know, human rights also bars you from, you know, getting the kind of justice that you want. But at the same time, if you look at human rights from the other spectrum, you know, it's also very, very important, because, you know, then they cannot police and human rights. I am protected from being you know, tortured. Otherwise, you know, you torture me and I will, you know, my lawyers will go and sue you in the court, saying that, you know, you have kind of infringed on my human rights, you did not treat me with dignity. Zazikatsu, you know, it really depends on how you want to look at it. But so it's not about whether it's a social evil or a boon, but the fact that we have human rights charter today and we are a signatory to it is because we want to put conflicting interests and arrive at some point, some midpoint where every person, irrespective of what he or she is alleged to have committed, is treated with dignity. Because in law, especially when it comes to crime, there's presumption of innocence. Until I prove that you committed the murder, the law is going to presume that, you are an innocent person. And an innocent person ought to be treated with dignity, ought to be treated with, respect, because that's your fundamental right under Article 21. Yeah.
Next question, khale wak answer pick thilachan ki pa komine.
Sure. Can you share some experiences of yours as a professor in one of India's elite universities, events that particularly stand out to you as far as your profession is concerned? Do you ever face any form of discrimination based on race and ethnicity? Provided the existence of such social evils, what do you propose going forward is the best way to handle such collectively and individually? Thank you, Chochon, for the question. I think one thing, if I can just tell you the lessons that I've learned. One lesson that I've learned when I was with the law school in Calcutta is that the existence of class, and I don't talk about caste, but the existence of class, what it is to have a class, because they were students from all walks of life. I don't want to take names, but some of them, their parents are, holding some of the most important positions. Some of them came on full scholarship, not even knowing how to speak English. Some of them, their parents, or their mothers are members of parliament, even more, like all walks of life I've come across. And I learned what it is to have a class, in the sense that, at the end of the day, it's not about where you come from, it's about what you make out of yourself. Because, there were some students, like, who came from families who could not pay the fees, so they would take loan and they would come, student loan. And today those students are in the judicial service, they're with the government job. And there are some students who came from really apute apat lawyer family, velmo apate ole senior advocate bel anule MP bel umoitu amaule, but they went full scholarship to Cambridge, Harvard, velmo. So what I saw was that what I really learned in the National Law University was like the mistakes that I did. That, okay, student life is the best time, Tibo. Yes, the students there, they had fun, but they never let their fun come in the way of their, studies, because classes were from 8:30 until 9:30, 10 o'clock in the evening. They had to write their projects, competition, mood court, then. So party more, zule don't siku. To be very honest, what I saw is they were always there for their class. They were always there, completing their syllabus. They were always there meeting their assignments and doing really well. Generation, more, they were able to take the baton. Apu ni British civil service then he left the job. Then he got into advocacy. Tun apaka additional solicitor hungikit, anu MP hungikit, amau unau. For instance, they both are getting full scholarship. Tito amau scholarship umlaulele kibag away too, but they don't bank on that. So what I really learned was that the age when we say that student is the best time, it's the best time to enjoy life, and it is also the only time that you can really shape up your career, because these times will not come back. And the enjoyment part and all, it's there, it's good. With age it comes, but what is more important, our focus is that this age gap from let's say 15 years, the metric A exams are up till the time you get a job, it is the most formative stage of our life. That's what I really realized. And having a class meant that you have to be confident in yourself. It's not your background that's going to matter. It's what you do out of your life, what you do out of the opportunities that you get, that's really going to make you have that class, because you can't buy it with money. So that was my takeaway. And in Delhi University, my takeaway would be that people are so educated. Student tampi bureaucrats in even after they become bureaucrats, they come back to take their degree. Like even now, if I may just be quite open, student so a dissertation katun guide PK to LLM, and she's an IS officer. you know. So I LLM Simlai ka eyes zik dokintin, but she did not give up on that. You know, she continued. So what I really like is that consistency. More that once they start something, they continue to ne hum phone sekintin. Abui COVID to bang to, but you know, ahun chat chata mo a dissertation ka hum thelu sekitu. So that is what I really learned in these, you know, universities, that ken kat midang chuk again ken kana tuklo udan mo mi Zekaka ki headaches, ki headaches. So I think these are the experiences that has really shaped me, and better late than never. So I hope I'll be able to, you know, reflect that in my personality, and I hope, you know, that it would benefit at least one of you in today's session, you know, that irrespective of where we come from, who we are, ultimately it's us, you know, who's going to create our own reputation. Mo inule pa teka an ahina ka and then see our society ka government job nin kiti. My father is in a government job. I can't go and share his job. I wish I could, but I can't. You know, ultimately I have to look out for myself. I have to fetch my job for myself. So that's what I really feel, because and remember that you are the most important person to yourself. If you have fun, no problem, but get back. Don't take 3 days hangover to bounce back. You have fun, okay, get back at 12 o'clock, next day 6 o'clock, get up. You know, your life should go on, because every day is a new day. So if every day the sun shines, why should you continue what you left behind yesterday, you know, today? So that's my biggest learning lesson. And in terms of, you know, racism and all of that discrimination, I've been very lucky. I have never faced that, because and also because I think to some extent, of course, the comments, you know, when you're a student, those comments would come, you know, all the chinky and all of that, but it never really affected me, because I'm just like, okay, how does it matter? You know, it doesn't change my ethnicity, and it doesn't make my eyes wider just because somebody calls me that. So I equipped myself with that, you know, I don't care who rules the world, or I'll walk around like I rule it, you know. But in the workplace, no, I never faced that kind of racism, to be very honest. And also because I think in my workplace, I just like to mind my business, and I interact with my friends and colleagues and all. But so I think interaction is related to work. I don't take it outside my workplace. And two, I think my language skill has really helped me, because when I teach in the class also, I mix English and Hindi. So Zizika, so I think that has really, really helped me. So me more racist if you can give them back in, you know, Hindi, Hindi is like widely spoken. I think I've seen that, you know, the way they react again, you know, the counter reaction is, you know, they mellow down. So that's one thing. And in fact, I'm a woman and I'm from the Northeast. So I'm a micro minority, because women are minority. And when you're from the Northeast, you are a minority again. So you are a minority twice. So that makes you a micro minority. So, but I think even when I was a student, I was able to use that to my advantage, because I tried to be as disciplined as I could, even as a student. So I taken a law faculty Northeast but in a class of 70 students, there might be just about 3 Northeast students or 5 Northeast students. Me thinking, okay, but a male how do you use a minority card? Are you going to use it as somebody who's never going to be present, or are you going to use your card as someone who's going to interact in the classes? And for me, I always, like I said, you know, I like to talk perhaps. So maybe that's why I used to interact with my teachers a lot. And yeah, so now since I have joined back the university where I studied as a student of law, so most of my senior colleagues, my professors are today, you know, the professors today were my teachers, you know, when I was a student. And they always would say that, oh, she was one person, you know, whom we knew would do well, you know. So it feels good for me as well to be working with my teachers, because, you know, you get to learn so much from them. And because people are so aware of their rights, more people are so aware of everything around them, and people don't take things for granted. That's what I feel. So, you know, they're very careful with the way they deal with a woman, because, you know, you misbehave, and what I'm going to say, don't you know how to talk to a woman? And, you know, and that itself becomes a very tricky thing. So I feel, as a person who's a micro minority, God has been really kind, and I've been very cautious. And yeah, and so that races and ethnicity issue, by God's grace, I've never faced it. So I think one thing that I would also want to say on this point is that Hindi is a common language. So I think that will really help us also and interact more. So it's okay, start talking, because language is very, very important, because language is what that medium of communication. So that's very important. So for me, I think I've been blessed in that aspect. So no, never really had any experience of race or based on ethnicity, never. And what would you propose going forward? Yeah, like I said, you have to be very confident, build on our self-confidence, and know how to use your card well, hone on your language, and if you have internet available, make use of it, because everything, like I said, libraries are closed now, so everything is available on the internet. If students, they might content more, if they can use that, if they can use the internet to write a research paper, why can't we do that? It's the same source of information that's available, right? So we just need to know where to tap the sources. Yeah, and okay, Reuven says, apart from serving in TV channels, newspaper, and university, what are the other career options for mass comm? There are news channels, newspaper. You could be a freelancer. You could write a book. You could start your own channel, or what are the career? You can even go, see, as long as you have a degree, you can always apply for jobs with the government also, or you can even go and work in corporate sectors also, And I think for mass comm, generally people are take up mass communication or even journalism for that matter, those who are interested in reporting or those who are interested in creative writing. So, the options are there are lots of options, and it's not just like confined. So whatever I shared with you is just a headlight of the other options that are available. It's always, always can go for government jobs or set up your own private institute, or creative writing. You can start up your exhibitions. So lots and lots of options. Anything else? I think no more chats.
Dang theo talo hi na mo. Talo gwen koi mai tin mo. Ki pa ko me extra 14 minutes se lahun long peak de kita.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Question 3 ta sampoi mo. Okay.
Oh, there's one more.
Thank you. Okay. Ki pa gum takzen me ya resource person hi how to know Miss Marcy Khaute ma hi. Tulal la hi amara gen gola kha India ading amo law university a top 10 top 5 no top 5 sa university lang thia assistant professor khat ni hiuti khale Zillai te a verin kong gen hi han lang ki pagum ta ta ma hi mi bui ma hi bui ma jing hi Zillai te hungai kho ka ko lai khan le ma kha ki phalam lo ke bangol bui le le da ka kha chu ei bol pi kham ha men ka ti request ka bola man de ahun man tam tak te pi gola lecture hoi tak mai jedi ta ka khat sung wal wing veng mo extra 15 minutes in alai hung pi ke online a free hin alai. So on behalf of the city and the participants the amao behalf in can lachung ki pau thu kong veling kong gen ki hi oh
and I think you can just share my phone number, my email also. You can just do that also with all of them. So if anyone is shy to ask me a question or would want to talk to me personally also, you're most welcome. So you can talk in emails also, not a problem.
Atop na thu cha la gen u le hong gen in lang zo le chu atop na hi mai he ole
I mean, the way we say Zillai hidam so and more. So I think we all will be well. And I'm thank you so much for having me. Mo kapau team lo hi hung na excuse me. Oh, because I'm really not. But I'm trying.
Pau jong na le mai chu la ki pa ko
I'm trying.
Clear khom mai ki pa ko me ei pau sang le clear zo ke ngai na chu mo ki
I think we're done. Thank you everyone for being so patient. I mean, I'm so obliged.